You were live.
Okay, everybody, welcome to the Prescott BIA Board of Management. Can I get we're going to call to order. Okay. So the first item is the approval of the agenda. The recommendation that the agenda be accepted as presented. Can I get a mover? Okay, and can I get a seconder? Perfect. All in favor? Okay, perfect. Declarations of interest, are there any? No? No declarations of interest? Okay. Delegations or presentations? No? Okay. Minutes from the previous meeting. Can I get a recommendation that the minutes dated August 8th, 2023 be accepted as presented? Can I get a mover? Charity? And a seconder? Terry? Okay. All in favor? Perfect, everybody's good. Okay, so for the financial report, Nicole.
Yes. Easier to read here. So we have a budget of 29,000. As you can see, we've allocated some of the expenses. Go down. The newest one is the stopgap.ca, which is 4,000. If you move down, we have a remainder of 4,188, and for our remaining balance is 31,013.
Okay. Can I get a recommendation that the financial report be accepted as presented? Can I get a mover? Okay, and a seconder, sorry. Okay, all in favor? Okay. All right, so for the committee reports, I'm gonna have Justin take it away.
Thank you. So I've sort of put the committee reports together there tonight because both committees overlapped quite a bit on the discussions, especially different parts of the discussion. So we'll go through some Halloween planning, some small business week discussion, and then a discussion that came up at the placemaking committee about downtown streetscaping. So I have a number of activities that we're hoping to have ready for Halloween. A decorating contest, a haunting event, some spooky markets, a pumpkin run. It's listed as on the agenda, but I believe the actual title is Roll, and pumpkin parade market that we've done the last couple of years. So the themed decorating contest, one of the discussions that was had at the committee meetings was the idea that it would be good to have some way to sort of get a holistic theme throughout the downtown, try to find a way to sort of get businesses involved and have it lead towards like one specific end. And what could we do if we made like Halloween, the end of October, sort of a real downtown destination holiday? So one of the ideas was that themed decorating contest where the businesses would be encouraged to decorate their windows to match a theme, and we'd have public voting for the best windows and prizes for the best winning business. So we did something sort of similar for the public voting last year using a QR code and a Google form. So we can do something similar to that and sort of do like a weighting thing for it. But really the main thing there is that we wanted, the discussion wanted to sort of focus on what if we had like a central theme, so we could have different parts of this all sort of being decorated in the same way. And one that kept coming up was scarecrows. What if we encourage the businesses to sort of incorporate scarecrows in this Halloween theme, and then that would open up the opportunity to do things, say at the market with decorating scarecrows. Would sort of be a way to have that consistency across things, encourage some consistency, and still allow people to be really creative with what they're doing. The second idea was sort of a haunting in downtown Prescott type event. So we were actually talking to a paranormal group a little earlier that's involved in the farmers market that were interested in doing some sort of paranormal event that maybe was in one or more downtown buildings and you do a bit of a ghost hunt. Or also Jean referred us to a storyteller who could be involved Unfortunately, the first paranormal group that had approached us, she's unable to do it now due to some things coming up. So what we're going to do is look to some other groups, and we were already planning to incorporate other groups into it. So we're still sort of in the planning stages on that, but the idea would be to try to find a cool, potentially haunted, definitely haunted downtown building where ghost hunters, and perhaps even find a way to turn it into more of an adult-oriented event. So sort of something that was separated from, say, a trick-or-treating type event where we're looking more for older folks to come out.
Last time we talked about, did anyone approach the guy? We talked about the building, right?
So he's unable to do it because he's rented out the entirety of October. So we're sort of looking at some possibilities there now. Places like O'Heapy's could be cool.
Was another option, yeah, that we looked at. Red George, that building was also discussed as a really, cool potential option. It's pretty cut up though, so we're not exactly sure what the best, maybe the pub itself would be that best public space. We were thinking to have a group come in and do something smaller. We've done the Lighthouse in the past. That was a location that we did previously, which is now open, a little bit more publicly accessible than it was when we did it before. It was just a kind of a smaller, almost invite only group, just so we weren't overrun. But if anyone has ideas, we're certainly open to suggestions. And it would, I think our biggest things are, we would like them to be accessible, if at all possible. Even the first, story, ideally have ramp access. And not have any, like, it also needs to be safe too, right? It can't be something that's like down to the studs or has potential, hazards exposed. So that also
I feel like if there's spirits, there's gotta be some there. I don't know anything about it. And it would be a fairly large facility. I embarrassingly have to admit, I haven't been in it yet.
And it would be, it's certainly a conversation we could have with Juan. My only concern is I think it's closed as of Thanksgiving. Is that the last weekend the fort's actually operational? So that could be, and I do know that they pretty much shutter that place. And even like most of their staff, they have other facilities that they manage that are open year round. So they tend to relocate and go to manage those other facilities. But well, certainly it's a fantastic idea. Like that would be awesome. We even talked about, like, is there an old house that has historical designation, that has been open to the public in the past, that is still maybe within a very close walking distance of the downtown? Because really that's the goal.
You're in
I think so.
the Admiral Inn?
The Colonel's.
Colonel's Inn.
So Kay, we thought about her too. And we've reached out to her and I'm not sure if they're closed right now. She may even be out of the country because it does not seem to be open and they're not taking bookings right now.
Yeah.
So we could certainly, that was another one that we had considered.
It's for sale though, isn't it?
It's been for sale for quite some time.
Yeah.
I thought that's sold. Didn't know?
Knowledge, no.
Okay, good enough.
If it has maybe.
I actually thought it was a good, well, they're asking 1.7 or something for it.
They've had a lot of those type of events there before, so like it would be a great destination.
Did you see what they want for that house for sale on the?
2.8? Yeah.
Yes,
Wow,
yeah, I know, it's amazing how the market has exploded.
that's insane, $3 million, like 20 feet off the highway, like.
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
Yeah. But yeah, so those are kind of the options at this point, thinking maybe O'Heapy's, Red George.
Well, I
I think they
think-
probably seem like the most viable.
And those would be interesting because they both have sort of that separated room space.
Yeah.
You could sort of have
Yeah.
an event if they were interested.
I'd offer up my space, but I got lots of construction going.
See, we talked about yours.
And like, so far I haven't seen nothing in there. And I just soon leave it that way, right?
They have to sense whether, oh no, we're not gonna get him. So don't even waste our time, right? But yeah, we did think about your place and then that's when we thought, okay, how far along is it? Would it be safe for public?
No, it's, yeah, maybe next year we could look at it, maybe, but this year, it's just pretty cluttered in there.
And we did think it would be a good idea just to have it in a place like O'Keefe's or Red George, because then you could have food and drink and service, right? Like turn it into an actual
Outing.
event. And then take that onus off of us too, from having to do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I like the idea that you could like maybe be sipping and touring
Yeah.
and taking it all in or something, yeah.
Sip and spirit.
another really cool building.
yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
I've often thought of town hall too. Old high school.
I was just gonna ask you about
Could
that.
be a lot of history,
Yeah.
could be an option. Again, I think our thought was it's kind of outside of the downtown, right? Trying to keep it more downtown so we get some business benefit out of it, right? Hopefully get people walking. That's why we're hoping to get maybe a couple sites. And then we could get people moving from one to the other.
One end to the other would be
Yeah.
ideal.
Ideal, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we even thought about the ship's
Walker
anchor,
House.
Walker House. Yeah, I don't know if they've.
Oh, yeah, the ship's anchor is a neat building.
Yeah.
Like an excuse to go into.
Yeah, yeah.
Or an additional reason.
Yeah. Yeah, so we'll reach out to Marilyn too. That's the owner of Ship's Anchor and see if maybe there'd be some interest there.
That'd be a neat one.
But I know like, just the, well, we haven't even gotten to the rest of the, let's carry on through the list. But I think we had, sparked some other ideas for potentially a group effort once we get to the end of the list.
So spooky markets. That was the discussion of that we could have sort of maybe one or multiple markets, a Halloween market maybe focused on the farmers market area and maybe one focused on the pop-ups area. These would be for Halloween. Have a lot of vendor interest in a Halloween market. It's something that people are interested in. So that would be something that will be definitely going forward with one way or another through the farmers market will be to have that Halloween market downtown.
How cool would that be though? Sorry to interrupt, but to have a where kids actually walk through on, like, are we talking on Halloween night?
So
Or are we thinking leading up
We're
to?
thinking this Saturday because one of the issues becomes how many of the vendors want to be out trick or treating with their kids.
True, yeah. But yeah, I'm just having visions of how many more trick or treaters going through, right?
But we could also encourage the little ones to dress up too.
Yeah,
Where they're
for sure.
costumed on more
And
than
we
one
can
day.
have a fun little promo giveaway, have vendors giving away trick or treats.
Yeah.
And be dropping candy, yeah.
Yeah,
And we tried to have one 2 years ago and we had a large number of vendors and we're planning pumpkin decorating and trick or treating there and then it snowed.
yes, right, yeah.
Which is why we ended up having the first pumpkin parade market was because we had a number of people that really wanted to have one and we had to cancel that one. So it'll be definitely, through the farmers market, we'll definitely be doing a Halloween market there, but it's definitely something that could roll out as part of a larger Halloween celebration through there.
What kind of vendors are gonna be at the market though?
So we've had,
Like,
I would think a lot of
psychics
our
and-
regular farmers market vendors, but
Okay.
very much doing more fall themed.
okay,
We would love to get a pumpkin vendor, like if we could have a pumpkin vendor at the market, that's why we're thinking for like the Christmas market, we could have a Christmas tree vendor.
Oh, that's
So if
great.
anyone has a line on a pumpkin vendor and or Christmas tree vendor for Christmas, keep that in mind as well.
Are they doing the pumpkin thing again, like for the million pumpkins?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pumpkin parade, that'll happen November 1st, so that's always the day after Halloween, and we always do a market at that event. Yeah.
There's some flower shops that do the whole porch package. And they would have like your corn stalks, your pumpkins
Yeah,
and everything. Maybe we could attract one of them.
yeah. I also was talking to Donna of Green Things. She's very interested in possibly participating in some markets, maybe like a fall floral themed idea, winter as well, we chatted about, so she could potentially be a vendor at some of these markets. Were we thinking were we talking about the Thursday night markets as part of this too? Maybe still doing an odd?
We were considering doing some more Thursday night markets through the fall. Sort of the earlier darkness has a lot of the vendors concerned about continuing those.
And we did get council approved the extension of the promenade to Thanksgiving weekend. So it will run every weekend to the end of Thanksgiving weekend. So we could have some of those fall markets there and have a really nice Thanksgiving one. And then maybe transition in October to the former farmers market.
And given the level of interest for something like the Halloween one, it would probably be a case where we wouldn't be able to accommodate everyone that would want to come on the promenade.
No, that's turned into a really popular one. I know last year we were thinking we could actually do the co-located, maybe pop-ups and vendor market right there, just a one-day only event in conjunction with the pumpkin parade. Just because it would be kind of a one-stop shop, we could get maybe vendors coming into the pop-ups, and then it would lead. We talked to community services about laying the pumpkins out in such a way that they would actually lead along a path up into the pop-up site. And then, maybe we could have someone doing cider, something along, some sort of attraction there, right? Like for families to kind of land. Yeah, so we were thinking again, it'd be a nice partnership with community services and certainly no lack of vendor interest.
Now, the next thing that has been discussed quite a bit is the pumpkin roll, pumpkin run, pumpkin roll. So I found a couple of photos of other pumpkin rolls that exist here. And essentially the idea is you find a big hill and people roll a bunch of pumpkins down them. And they get down to the bottom and they smash and crash and everyone has a good time. And then those smashed and crashed pumpkins end up going for, I believe,
Usually to a farm.
for
feed.
for feed.
So they don't get wasted or anything.
And so the discussion has generally been around perhaps the Water Street Hill, the end of Center Street Hill, between the Moran Hooker building and the Forwarders building. And perhaps having that coinciding with, I think that Saturday farmers market, the bigger Halloween market, the Saturday before Halloween, and turning that really into an event space. There would be some logistics involved, such as shutting down that hill for a couple hours for this, but probably things that could be managed if we wanted to look at doing something like that. And based on the Google searches and poking around, it seems to be something that people really enjoy, get excited about.
Yeah, it's fun.
I was just thinking, what about like for safety reasons and not having to shut down the street? What about the hill at Fort Wellington?
And the grass.
On the grassy embankment.
Would you go down the grass?
I don't know.
It's still, you'd have to barricade it potentially, you'd have to barricade it, you want pumpkins to roll that far. But yeah, you could barricade it there.
If you couldn't get the street closed, because if that becomes an issue, that could be.
And really, honestly, ultimately, it's up to council and whether they feel it warrants the, I'm gonna call it minimal disturbance to the neighboring residents who would, for that, say, 5-hour period on Saturday, have to move their vehicles if they plan to go anywhere during.
That's what I was gonna say, it kind of sucks because that's only one, that's the only.
It is, there's that one down the
access,
hall,
right?
you've got Mariners Club and Prescott Place that both have parking access on Center Street.
Yeah.
So, but you could do it in such a way that everything is bailed and you leave those spaces open for vehicles to come and go as they please, right up until the minute the event starts, right? Close it, run your pumpkins, and you're done. The cleanup, potentially, that would be the only, you would have some cleanup because you're going to get obviously lots of pumpkin guts. You know, pumpkins are gonna crash into each other and explode. That's the whole point of the thing, right? And, you know, so you would have some cleanup, so there would be a period, you know, that people could not, but I'm sure that we could accommodate them, provide them with alternate parking options along Water Street to try to minimize that inconvenience. And it's really, I think, as long as you provide people with ample notice, right? As long as you're not doing something on a Friday night and coming on saying, by the way, lots closed tomorrow and you can't come in and out. It's really more just about notice and proper consultation and communication's everything. But, you know, like an example one here of, it can be just so simple. Like it's literally a matter of the one I'm looking at here is who can roll pumpkin the greatest distance. It's $100 grand prize, like it's more the bragging rights than anything. They do have a supply of pumpkins because we were talking about that. Like it'd be really good to have a supply of pumpkins that people can buy. There's an entry fee for this one, which I assume probably goes to some sort of, you know, local charity, I'm guessing. And then the pumpkins can't be carved. So we were thinking initially maybe that's something you could do with all the pumpkins on the pumpkin parade, but I don't think they would roll properly, right? You wouldn't get that impact that you're looking for. So, but yeah, and they just seem to be like, it's just seemed like a really fun community thing, right? Simple to do. It's a great family thing for individuals, families, young and old, right? Anyone can come out and do that. And it looks like so simple. Like they literally just built like a little wood track here. And you go and, you know, just have different stages. You could have maybe 8 lanes going. So, you know, we could get multiple heats and have a youth and adult category.
I absolutely love the idea. I've never heard of it, but that is fabulous. I think people will get a kick out of it. Yeah, of all ages. Yeah. And I think if it does prove to be a little too complicated or not in favor of the street, I think that the hill and the fort could be another great option.
For sure.
There, people could even linger. Maybe we could have other activities.
Other
But if it's for like the purpose of rolling, maybe the street is the, I don't know if there's like a strategy and that's better. I don't know.
Like we used to go-kart down St. Lawrence Street. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So, you know, and we're eventually thinking like these things could turn into a big event that actually draws visitors, right? Between the Scarecrow Festival and the Pumpkin Roll and have these things and the paranormal things happening. All of a sudden Prescott becomes Destination Halloween and build on that. And then you've got things just down the road like Pumpkin Inferno that again, like we can build off of these.
Are they having the zombie thing again?
They do the zombie thing I don't know if they'll do the zombie, no, that hasn't happened for a couple of years. I think that is probably permanently gone by the wayside, the zombie run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
this one.
That was kind of fun.
And it's funny, they actually do have a pumpkin run as part of this. And then they've got a vendor, market, which would be very similar to what we would have.
Cause that usually had a good turnout, did it not, the zombie walk?
It seemed to do like it was building, I think, and then there were some changes in organizers and I think it kind of lost momentum, so.
That's too bad, that was kind of fun.
Yeah, it's a great concept,
Yeah.
really cool concept. But I think where we really kind of landed too is that, you know, we're talking about a lot of different things. And maybe we need to look at forming a bit of a subcommittee of a group that wants to come together and focus on helping to plan some of these fall things that could then maybe lead into some winter activities too that we talked about. But, you know, these marketing and event committees are small. There's what, 4 of us plus staff? It's pretty limited. So I think what we're talking about here is a much bigger undertaking. And, you know, we would love to see if there's maybe an organization out there, you know, maybe someone like the Legion would see this and jump all over it, right? Like maybe we could entice another group.
The fire department?
Fire department. Okay, and I will also bring this up. So Town of Napanee Fire Department every year turns the fire hall into a haunted house. And it has become like a huge attraction. It brings thousands of people from everywhere. And I don't know if they've ever thought of it, but with that new fire hall, how cool would that be to turn that thing into a haunted house?
Which
Oh.
one?
Just an idea.
Ours in town.
The Prescott Fire Hall.
Oh,
Yeah, turn it into a haunted house. They ran it like every, I think, Friday, Saturday for just the month of October. And it literally drew thousands of people from all over. And again, it could be just having all these different things happening, right? Everyone takes on a little piece and these things become so much easier to,
everyone likes haunted houses. Haunted houses are fun.
yeah.
I know they do the dance
Yeah.
every year, so maybe.
Yeah, and having that dance, we were thinking we could have some of these activities kind of coincide, around those things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just a thought. If anyone happens to know someone on the fire department, maybe put a bump in their ear.
I might know, if I know somebody I can talk to. Sweeten the deal. All right.
And then sort of the last Halloween activity is the pumpkin parade again in Market. So Community Services will be running the pumpkin parade on November 1st again in the evening. So that's, I'm sure everyone remembers, when all the pumpkins are lined up through Riverwalk Park and down through the marina area. And so we'll again have a farmers market, vendors market, as Dana mentioned, possibly. It will migrate down towards the pop-up area this year and hopefully include some more vendors. And, but it's been well received the last couple of years as well. So it's sort of a capper on the season.
Yeah, we quickly outgrew our initial space in the amphitheater and shifted over to the lighthouse last year. So we keep moving easterly every year.
That's good though. It's good that it's like growing.
If we wanted to, I'm thinking with the timing of the next meeting, everything else could sort of wait if an allocation was required, but sort of the theme, the decorating contest, we'll have to get that rolling out there soon. So if we wanted to discuss the idea of the prize for something like that and how much would need to be allocated to that, and then maybe do that tonight, how much funding would be required?
Will it be just, are we thinking just the businesses, or will it be for people to do their houses as well? Would there be like a residential category and a business?
I think we probably focus on business storefronts down through there, so just the sort of the King Street and BIA business storefronts, rather than the residential.
And in years past, we have, kind of to align with the theme of the Digital Main Street program that we're delivering, we've offered funding for advertising. And last year it was for digital credits through like Facebook, Instagram, ad placement. And that could be an option. I know years prior, there were, I believe, radio advertisements that were purchased on behalf of the businesses that they could use. So usually, thinking along those lines, some sort of benefit for the business, right? Whether it be some sort of free complimentary advertising, something along those lines. I think we were thinking of, but certainly open to suggestions, anything and everything. Don't let that limit your ideas.
I think that's fair though. Like that's a good prize.
Well,
Yes.
better really than free
Yeah.
promotion, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, because again, I think it's kind of just for bragging rights,
Mhm.
right? Like we're
Yeah.
just doing it for community spirit. I don't think that,
Yeah.
like I wouldn't want to be winning a grand prize, I feel like.
No,
we
it's
also
just
could
fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Feature them in the November newsletter.
Yes.
Yeah.
The winner of the,
that would be
yeah,
fun.
you could get the business feature in our new act, Deb, and I hope everyone has seen that. We're gonna shamelessly plug that.
We're gonna look at it soon.
Yes, but yeah, we could maybe give them the featured business spot
Yeah.
in the newsletter, whoever wins, and then picture of the decorations would be, you
I
know,
love that idea.
Yeah.
an actual
It's
front
on
page
charity.
tennis section.
Yeah. You do have nice big windows down there.
So yeah, maybe that, and that would obviously be complimentary through Rec Dev. There's no cost to that, but just
Yeah, I think
another
that's a
added.
really good direction
benefit,
because
right?
it's kind of full circle, right?
Yeah.
It then promotes the event and it promotes community spirit and you win a little,
Yeah,
well, a good.
yeah, the good
But-
advertising prizes and another free promo through, because it goes out to over 800 people. Like that is fantastic promotion. It's a wide audience that you could be seen by, so. Yeah.
I like
And we've
it.
had a lot of clicks on the featured business from this one, because we can actually see what people are clicking on in the newsletter, everything, from like every single link, we can get a sense in how people are moving through the newsletter. It's pretty interesting, actually, when you really delve into it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
It was a good article, I will say.
But Justin definitely took the lead on that.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe advertising, unless anyone else has another.
I like the idea of that.
I think it's a general prize, which is nice. Because any business would,
It's just fun, right? It's just in good spirit and
Yeah.
we're coming together, so.
And Dev would match whatever the BIA decides to allocate within reason.
Okay.
So maybe
Yeah, I
at
like
this
it.
point, call for a motion. Do we have any idea of amount? I know we have, what did we do last year, 300?
So I believe last year was 250
Okay,
for the grand prize. I'm thinking if BIA wants to do 250 and it was matched, then you could do 250, 150, 100 for second and third prizes,
yeah,
and have a little bit more going around for that, and $100 worth of digital advertising is actually fairly substantial.
Yeah.
So it's still a pretty good third prize.
I do that. Do I call that?
yeah, if you think, yeah, at this point, that seems to be consensus, so I'd call for a motion to approve Justin's recommended.
So it was 250 for the main?
With 200 for 250 allocation from the BIA to
Okay.
match.
To be matched by ACTA,
Oh, I see, okay.
so 500 in total.
And yeah, for the prize fund,
Okay.
just keep it simple.
Can I get a motion to allocate $250 from the BIA? What do you call
Is
that?
it marketing budget? This
Is it
Yes.
marketing budget? Can I get a mover? Okay, can I get a seconder? Perfect. All in favor? Okay,
Thanks, everyone.
yeah. Sounds good. All right, Small Business Week.
Spread the word, really encourage your fellow businesses. Because we have, you know, certain ones that always just, you know, come rolling out with some really awesome window displays. And, you know, we want to see some new ones this year, hopefully in the mix, so.
And yeah, we'll get that out to the businesses in the next week to 10 days too, so people can get started in planning, and it's scary. So Small Business Week, October 15th to 21st. One of the things we discussed at the community meetings was the potential to partner with some of the local organizations, business organizations, and try to look at, could we do something where Small Business Week maybe had multiple events where each organization was sort of taking a lead towards these more business focused, business support focused events. Event could mean, you know, webinar, seminar, it could mean some sort of networking event. So that maybe, you know, that week this year, we would just have a whole lot more going on focused on small business.
So you're thinking like chamber, CFTC, maybe BIA could take the lead, ACDEV would take the lead on an event and end up basically with a full week of events that are all hosted by different, the SBEC in Brockville could be another great. And then we've got this nice well-rounded package that's available to businesses and they could participate in one or all if they so chose.
So, the general idea here would be maybe the BIA would look at something for, a downtown focused event, looking for something that would really impact businesses downtown. So if anyone had any ideas of a potential event for Small Business Week, what would be most impactful for you? I'd love to hear them.
What about, almost we were talking about like walking around for the ghost thing, but like myself, I still feel like a pretty new member of the community and the business community. And I've made some relationships with some of the others, but I feel like that's one of the most valuable things that I have here, especially not necessarily being from here. So maybe others would feel that way too. And we could go with that and the idea of maybe we just have people, businesses, choose to participate or not, of course, but if they're informed, we go from one to the other on an evening. So we just kind of go around and we just kind of swap ideas, see what others are doing, try to not maybe draw it out too much. So I'm not sure how we keep that flowing, but something like that. And then maybe ending at a bigger area that we could all then come in. And I'm not as capable of some of the tech stuff, and even through doing it online, I don't grasp it. I personally, I get so much value from someone showing me. Once you show me, I see it, I do it, I'm good. So then maybe we could then come around, and there are a lot of things that, I apologize, his name, I heard Taylor, Taylor offers that I think myself and others haven't taken advantage of or learned that it's there. So maybe we could end in a facility that allows us then to get right down and ask some questions, have them show how to do it, maybe do a couple examples for us, whether it's the marketing ads on Facebook or whatever, just some of those things where we just kind of get together with each other and swap ideas, ask the questions, but on a hands-on. Because so far I've been building mostly in a COVID world where nothing was hands-on. It was really different and I struggled a little, and I'm not sure if it's just me or if other business owners, but maybe if that was something others shared, that could be an idea for one of the events, or maybe our downtown event, and kind of put some fun into it too.
I love this idea. I'm thinking almost like a situation room type of issue where every business has a different issue, right? Whether it be marketing or you're looking for financial advice, bookkeeping, whatever it may be. And that we try to maybe have a cross section, right? Of someone to assist with social media and digital marketing. And that you can actually add and get a little hands-on tutorial and whatever it may be. Have someone there who has some financial.
Yeah, definitely.
Have someone there that you could actually go around and almost like a not a job fair, but
it's kind of set up like that.
Yeah,
it's stations, for
lack
lack of a better word.
stations.
That you can kind of go around and you ask your questions to that kind of specialist.
Yeah, exactly.
Hands-on.
Yeah. I love the idea too of the visiting different businesses, right? Where we can just all open up and, maybe you could have that spread out because I was thinking how do we set it up in such a way so that every business gets to participate and doesn't have to stay back? And maybe you do it in such a way that we all travel as a group and you open up a business one by one, right? It's at a time of day when no one's open and we actually come in to that space for say, half an hour and then have a little bit of a business crawl type of thing.
Yeah. Crawl came to my mind, but I'm not that, but
I've seen other places, and it wouldn't necessarily be maybe a Small Business Week thing. It could be a year round, where they'll have and they're not even as formal as, say, a business after 5 or something. They would be, you know, you charity this month hosts, I forget what they even call them. I mean, they're sipping involved again. But you host that and say someone from the BIA at the start, there's like a little conversation with the people who come and watch. They ask you questions about what you did, and you know, it's just sort of like a little informal chat, and then like a networking event, and then everyone moves on, but sort of like in a less formal way than even the sort of business after 5 type thing.
Yeah, and it's opportunity for businesses to introduce themselves to the community and just give a brief little kind of bio on this is what I do and this is, you know.
You can do something like that with 4 or 5 of them in an evening too.
Yeah.
In that same sort of setup. I saw a lot of places actually were doing them during COVID via Zoom and things like that. So, but you know, something that sort of integrates.
And some of the tours could be, like a little video that was pre-done for sure. Yeah, if not everybody, it was suitable to have you come tromping through or whatever. Like, some could be. And then if we ended together then in person for the question part of it, it wouldn't all have to be in person, I guess, because there would be a lot of spots to cover in one evening unless we broke it up over more than one.
Yeah, and that's where I like to your point, you know, maybe small business week, that's the first iteration of it. But I think that's something that we carry on, right? And maybe, you know, once a month we could have, because we've been talking a lot about, we want to do some sort of regular business event, just not 100% sure what, like, is it that business after 5 format where we bring people in for networking that rotates from business to business? And maybe this is kind of where that goes, right? And then that business owner has an opportunity to introduce themselves and just talk about, you know, challenges, opportunities, because I've seen, you know, that's where business grows. I've seen more businesses really take off based on some of these networking opportunities, right? They align with another business, start to realize they're doing something similar or something that they could partner on to really both enhance each of their offerings. And
one of the things doing a specific BIA one that would sort of separate it from, I still think they're different from something like a business after 5, but sort of separates that is, I think we want downtown businesses to start talking to each other and sort of seeing a collective benefit of working together in that group. Yeah. In addition to sort of, you know, the larger, more regional group, but the different, you know, potential challenges or opportunities, issues for the downtown businesses where they can specifically talk about those things.
Something else we've also talked about is the customer service, ambassador training. You know, that might be a great opportunity just to bring people in that can give a sense of, you know, what kind of issues that your employees are dealing with, you know, how to best equip them with how to handle inquiries, whether it be about the community or, you know, just things happening. I think that's been, you know, it really can take one encounter to either completely excite you about a community or turn you off completely and make you want to turn and head on to the next town, right? So that's something else that we're really trying to integrate, and maybe that's an opportunity to do that too, and while learning about each other's businesses. And again, bring these things to the businesses so they're not always having to do this on their own. You know, I'm sure that at different times you've all looked at some of these things, so. But I really love that idea, the visiting almost like a business hop. Yeah. And then, like the situation room type concept where you're getting one-on-one. Because these webinars are great, we get great participation in them, but I think that's been our biggest takeaway is that people want more, right? It just kind of scratches the surface for them, and it gives you a sense that yes, I can, but I'm the same as you. I'm a visual learner. I need to sit down with someone and walk me through how to do this one time and I'm fine. I can go now, but yeah, I love it. I think that would be a great way to introduce those, use it to kick it off as part of Small Business Week.
that could be something that we finalize at the marketing committee.
Yeah, because we're, like, it's October,
As
so
crazy as it seems, that's
coming fast, yeah,
only
so
3 days after our next meeting, so.
we would definitely want the BIA's endorsement to pursue this and also, you know, reach out to other potential organizations to see if we can partner on a multi-organization, you know, a full roster of Business Week activities. And then I would say focus specifically on trying to do these 2 events in some shape or form as part of, that could be the BIA's.
I do the business well and.
Mm-hmm.
I even like the name of it. It's catching on.
The BIA.
Like, expense wise, this is not an event that has a huge,
No.
if any, real cost affiliated with it, other than, of course, the staff time, you know, that would require to pull that off.
Probably look for 4 to 6 businesses,
Mm-hmm.
I think, for something like that, for that
Yeah.
night.
Yeah, and then we can approach the different organizations and see what staff might be available. Try and cover those, but I think, you know, from our perspective, if members can even just shoot us an email and say, like, these are the most pressing issues, these are the things I want to learn more about, whether it be hands-on Facebook or Instagram, financial, hiring.
Is there like a way that we could send out like even an email to say this is what we're planning and
What
What are-
do you need?
yeah, what are some topics that,
Yeah,
We could do
yeah.
a Google form poll.
Yeah.
Mhm.
just something to
Yeah.
like
Put
get
it
an
out,
idea?
Business
Make
community.
sure you zone it in on what people are really.
Yeah, maybe give some ideas and then have like an other category if there's something that hasn't been listed.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
We can do some social media promotions around that and send just a dedicated one-off newsletter out to people.
I like that.
Yes, I don't.
I don't think we need them, what we're not, if we're not allocating any actual budget or resources at this time other than coordinator.
I mean, we have discussed the particulars at the committee meeting and.
Yep,
Exciting.
yes.
This is something that, honestly, we've been talking about doing for years now. It's been one of those long-standing want to do's, and I've seen them done really successfully in other communities. So I think if we do it well, it could be a really great benefit to our businesses. And certainly this is not unique to the downtown as much as, yes, the BIA is going to be partnering. These programs would be offered to all businesses. It's not specific to, you know, only available uptown, downtown, regional businesses as well. It would be fully open to everyone, and all events ideally will be complimentary.
That's great though, because like, I know as a small business owner, the more information, the better. We just get so carried away with our days too, that they mesh into one another and.
That's kind of where the idea of just getting out to each other is.
Yeah.
I always have, you know, all these great wants to get to all the other local businesses, but like then time passes and you shamefully realize that it's been months and you haven't even made it to your neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, business that just opened up. So this would be a great way to allocate time to get around to each other, and make that connection and see and
Yeah.
chat.
All right. So
Streetscaping.
the last item here in the committee reports came out of the placemaking committee. So there was a discussion at the last placemaking committee meeting about what direction should we be looking at downtown with regards to, how are investments being made in sort of the beautification of the downtown, and something that came up and that people were passionate about was the idea that should be looking towards sort of a medium-term, long-term downtown streetscaping strategy, which would be an entire an entire renovation of sort of the actual street area in the downtown to make it more appealing for pedestrians and more appealing as a visitor destination, sort of calm the traffic going through there, making it more enticing to stop in when you're traveling through and making it a space that you want to spend more time in rather than just go to one specific place and leave. So that's, also a project that's well outside the financial capabilities of the organization, the BIA with your funding level. But it's also something wherein if it was to be done, there would need to be an investigation of, external funding sources from different levels of government and options for that. We'd be looking for council support and Town of Prescott support towards funding projects such as that. And it would really be a multi-party effort to do something like that. And then the time frame would be, more extensive than, say, the current BIA board, but something where in the long term you're looking towards that as a goal. So one of the discussion items was the idea that you have these reserve funds, and there would be a possibility that if the board wanted to endorse it, you could allocate those reserve funds towards a downtown streetscaping fund, where you were saying, okay, this is what we're allocating now, and on a yearly basis towards the streetscaping effort, and then be asking council to look at the possibility of doing something like that in the future.
That's been one of the areas that I feel has been important just right from this day one, so I'm all for in a reasonable way. Of course, moving this forward, I would very much like to see some of the reserve funds allocated to the downtown area and creating all of those things, like just more spaces that you want to stay in, tidying up some of the areas that we've talked about in the past with the gardens and potential artwork and any other ideas. I think it's something as BIA we should definitely consider putting some of the money to and planning long-term to hopefully continue with the next BIA. And the community I've seen in a short time is excellent at fundraising and looking within our own members too. So maybe the BIA, maybe we could, like some of the members ourselves or the business members, we could again start chatting with each other and other community members and see if anyone would like to get involved as well, as a family or an individual or as a business, to put some money into that too.
Yeah, that's something that the BIA could certainly take a more active role in from a fundraising perspective as well, right? You're not just necessarily aligning on your annual levy, but helping to, maybe initiate some of those activities that could also be great events happening in the downtown, but also be raising money towards that streetscape project.
Yeah, maybe in line with our kind of Halloween pumpkin fall thing that we're gonna kind of bring to life with time. Maybe we do a really small fundraising donation / fee for the pumpkin roll.
Yep. And that goes towards the streetscape revitalization project.
Yeah. Keep it
Or whatever
so that it doesn't
call it.
Disclude people, but and maybe just if you want to, maybe you don't have to, but maybe if you wanted to, you could do a $2 to $5 whatever donation for it that would go to, and everyone would know that that's where the money from all those events would go to or something as well, to get the money coming as well.
Can we start that sooner than next year, or is that something that, with the pumpkin roll, for instance?
So if we had council's endorsement to, essentially what we are lobbying the BIA to do is identify for council that you would like to prioritize this with your own budget, and also like to see council prioritize it as well and support the pursuit of those outside funding sources that we're obviously gonna need to tap into, you know.
Yeah.
For example, Smith Falls downtown revitalization project was a $10 million project. So this is not a small project by any means that we're talking about. Theirs was very extensive. That doesn't mean that ours needs to be a $10 million project. But you are realistically probably looking at a $3 to $5 million project. Once you go in and you talk about completely redesigning your downtown streetscape, making those sidewalks fully accessible, you know, maybe adjusting locations of poles, adding more seating, more decorative paving to calm the traffic, you know, more planting areas, things like that are just more boulevard areas, bicycle parking, you know, all of bicycle lanes, all of those things that are conducive to improve the pedestrian experience, as well as the business experience, because it does, you know, from an economic development perspective, we're at that point, right, where we're getting a lot of interest in this community and investment is happening. And there is a desire to locate in the downtown and the uptown. And that beautification of the downtown, I think, is really that limiting factor. And it does get to a point that if we want to continue to attract investment, the town itself has to kind of put some money where it's, you know what I mean, and demonstrate that same investment. If we're going to continue, and we're doing that very much so through the CIP program. That's not to say that the town is not made, or council has not made the downtown a priority or just general town beautification. We're doing that with the new arena, with, you know, road improvements that we're doing all over the community. And I think it's really time that we do look at the downtown area. It's long overdue. And the economic impact that would come with that long term to be able to attract new investment, new businesses, new residents. You know, it's amazing what it will do to bring new life into your downtown. And also encourage those property owners to do the same. Because we've got a lot of those property owners that are very much due for, you know, maybe a full redevelopment or some restoration. And you know, we can only continue to expect property owners to make that investment if we're doing the same. And, you know, really initially all we're asking for is for the BIA to say, yes, this is a priority for us. We feel, and you don't necessarily have to allocate the full reserves. You know, you could take a portion of it and also set a policy moving forward that you make an annual allocation to that reserve specifically for a streetscape project. But I think really the next steps would be to, you know, demonstrate to council that there is an interest and an interest in seeing them making it a priority too. There were some monies that were allocated under the previous council for the preparation of the concept. So we do have those dollars in place. And that would be the first step we would recommend is hire a consultant, issue a request for proposal, hire a consultant to come in and actually create that plan that we can then try to achieve and try to source funding for, because we can't even begin to look to outside sources for until we have a plan in place and we've demonstrated that we've done our homework, right? And we haven't just said, oh, we want to beautify the downtown, give us $5 million, but we don't have a plan in place yet, right? So that would be the biggest piece to that. And then once we get that concept in place, then we can start pursuing the funding. But I think, you know, if the BIA is prepared to make that allocation, that's a big demonstration to council. And that's something that is very hard for council to ignore. And I think that's important. It's an important step that the BIA can do in really initiating this conversation and taking it to the next step.
Hi, just wondering, and I forget, just a reminder, in terms of fundraising, what a committee of council can do on its own without, like, are we allowed to fundraise? I forget, sort of.
You can fundraise, you can't make money, you can't invest.
Okay.
So you can't generate income, but to my knowledge, you can fundraise.
Yeah, because I'm never.
But it would have to be at the endorsement of council still.
Yes. And then if we were to apply for funding, it would have to be in partnership with the town, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are some funds that the BIA would, but you would always have to have that council
Yeah.
town endorsement, yeah.
And I think
You need
it's,
their blessing essentially.
it's really timely right now because we are gonna start, council is gonna start their strategic planning, so it's a good time to indicate that interest to council.
Well, that's good to know.
Just pulling up the bylaw here just to make sure that I'm not speaking out of turn on the whole fundraising notion. But I do in my head from past, I feel like you have the ability to fundraise.
Yes. But yeah.
To your knowledge as well, based
Yes,
on your,
I think any of the funding applications would be through the town.
oh, absolutely, yes. Yeah, so it's basically, you're looking to partner with council. To be an active partner and provide financial support to the project. And that's why I think that would demonstrate a very strong commitment on the part of the BIA. And it's really just you're advocating for council to give this attention.
Now, do you suggest a letter to council or how do you suggest that we?
I would probably follow it up with a staff report that would go to council on behalf of the BIA to get their endorsement. Like it going through your normal minutes, that's just not the way to best highlight that, right? Your minutes go to council every meeting, they get ratified, but it's part of several other minutes that, you know, may or may not get the review to the extent that we want them to. So I think next steps would be, once we have a motion that BIA is prepared to make this allocation with whatever portion of their existing reserve funds and start allocating funds to it down the road, then we prepare a report to council and get their endorsement to proceed with that preparation of the request for proposal and then that initial concept, which the BIA would then be very much an active partner in as well. And if you are contributing financially to that, that then also ensures that you're a partner and an equal partner, you know, so to speak, in the project, so that the concept gets vetted through this group as well as council, and we ensure that, and that's a great way to ensure that the business community is consulted, right? Because you are representatives of that downtown business community, and it's important to have that collaboration piece too. So I know it's a lot to certainly take in. And it's nothing that you need to decide tonight. This is all really for discussion and it would rise to the agenda, I believe, at the next meeting.
We would have sort of basically a report and discussion in the agenda section.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, I definitely want Belinda to be here.
Yeah, so report to here first.
Okay.
And then if endorsed,
Okay.
then it goes to council. So just wanted to basically see if there's an appetite to even, you know, go down this road. Or if we are totally out to lunch. And the BIA has a completely different idea for where you want your focus to be, because it could well be, right? And that's your prerogative. We're just trying to bring those opportunities before you.
I mean, I can't speak for everybody, but I can say I think it is a great idea, especially to have a say and be a part of and to collaborate with, for sure.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think it's a great.
I think in today's day and world, that's the only answers for collaboration, partnerships.
Yeah.
And the more that the people that you apply to the funding for, more groups that are involved in wanting that funding, you're gonna get
Strength in numbers.
from them too.
And that's a big critical piece, Tracy, thank you, is, you know, our odds are slim to none for just the town to submit an application to a fund that could potentially provide funding for this. If you can't demonstrate partners and broader community buy-in, you're wasting your time. So it's critical, not only to council's commitment, but to any other funding partner down the road.
Well, it's really exciting to think, like, you know, that opportunity is out there for Prescott, right? So I know as a small business owner down there, it's very inviting to especially work with council in the town to make something like that happen. So for sure.
And it's a real, you know, it's a real legacy project too. you know, for me personally, to be able to look back on that and know that I was part of the group that initiated that, and potentially saw that through to fruition, that's a pretty exciting thing to get behind. And, you know, with all that comes also those, you know, things like art installations and that broader beautification, right? So it's not just a company coming in saying, okay, you need a wider sidewalk here and you should put cobblestone here and you need to add a little boulevard and then it's the whole, and we would ensure that, right? Like, it's not just about this, we want the full, you know, I would even suggest that we have them look at private spaces and where we can put installations of artwork, you know, maybe a parquet through a lot or an underused alleyway, or, you know, really look at the full downtown, and also how best to create those connections to the waterfront, because that is still very much missing. You know, we've done, I think, an excellent job of creating that with the installation of the promenade, but we certainly need to carry on that path and improve on those connections, so.
And somebody that does that for a living is like super crafty. Yeah. Okay.
This has been exciting. Conversation. Yeah, we'll have a report or something more formal
Perfect.
at the next meeting.
Love it. Are we on to the chair updates?
On to the chair updates.
Okay. Is there any? Chair updates? Oh, I'm the chair?
You're the chair, you gotta tell us.
Oh, I don't have any updates. Right? And she didn't formally let me know any, so I'm gonna say we're good until next time. So, staff updates?
All right, so I'm just gonna quickly go through some updates, reviews here. We concluded the Riverwalk Thursdays on the 31st of August.
It was sad that it stopped.
It was, thank you, it was a fun time. So the last two, we had music and markets at the clock tower. It seemed like they were something that really was generating a lot of traffic down through there, having those things together. I think anecdotally, it felt like there was a real uptick in downtown traffic in the evening down through there. Felt just like there was a little more life, especially as we got later into August. There seemed to be more people out and about. And as we start seeing these restaurants open up too, there's another opportunity for, you know, sort of that evening shopping and more people out and about in the evening. And, you know, it was fascinating because we had some truly stupid weather half the Thursday nights. It seemed for a long stretch there that every Thursday night, it didn't matter if the rest of the week was beautiful, the Thursday night it would rain. But we still had quite a bit of activity and things going on out there. One of the market nights had a little burst of rain and everyone stuck it out. And then as soon as the rain stopped, there were people coming out, walking around again. So overall, I think it went well. I think in the future, we'll probably focus more towards the things like the market where people are circulating versus markets and music where people are circulating versus things like the art classes. They were great. If we had them in concert with something else, it probably would be better, because for those, people would come, they would sit down, they would do the art, and they're sort of in place more so than in other things. So having that in the future in concert with some of these other things would probably be ideal. But it felt like things were growing throughout the summer, and it felt like a lot of the businesses that would have in-store promotions, little events, things like sip and shops, sort of had you know, some pretty good Thursdays running through there, and that's
Using their outdoor spaces, that was nice to see too. Businesses actually using their outdoor sidewalk space, right, to display products, you know, even signage, A-frame signs, look like things like that just make the street look so much more animated. And yeah, certainly a huge thank you from our part to the businesses who participated. It's, you know, a lot of extra hours to stay open and staff to commit sometimes, and it was certainly appreciated by us and anyone who attended the event. You know, people were excited about it, and I think Justin's right. You could, you know, definitely see an increase in traffic on those Thursday nights, despite the terrible weather.
Is there like something we can do maybe moving forward to like even move it to like a Friday night? Because typically people are out Friday night celebrating their week being over and going for dinner and things like that. Like, is there something that we can?
Well, so for example, last Christmas period, in the 4 weeks leading up to it, we did the elfing coincided with it, but we did things like had the little mini markets at the visitor center and encourage businesses to try to stay open later on those Friday nights. So that,
Good.
you know, could do something like that again and try to incorporate.
It was just like so nice to see like people out and about and like specifically coming into your store because they were participating in the Riverwalk Thursdays.
And then maybe we switch to Fridays next summer, right? Maybe it becomes Riverwalk Fridays.
Yeah, I mean, it
You
doesn't,
know?
Thursdays was great, minus like the, you know, the crappy weather that we got, but like, it was just so nice to see. And I think as like more businesses begin to open up and like the restaurants and everything, like it's really starting to come alive.
It is, yeah. And, you know, long term, we would love to see businesses just take it upon themselves to stay open. And that's what we're kind of hoping to do with these, right? Just keep going with these promotions and maybe eventually it starts to become, you know, second habit and you just continue to stay open because it's working for you.
Yeah, just with like the collaboration though of the town, I felt like it was just something that was known after a while.
Exactly. You've got that promotion behind it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just you on your own trying to stay open and when no one else is doing it.
Well, and that's it. Like even, you know, I find like even Sundays in this town, like nobody's open.
No, it's a weird, and it's like that. I was in another small town on the weekend and same thing. And there's tourists walking around looking for things to see and do. And every boutique, every possible retail experience in the town was closed. Restaurants are open, none of the shopping though. And it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I have a hard time finding staff right now.
Yeah.
So,
That's lots of it, Dave, yeah.
I mean, I can only do so much. My weekends are packed right now, so.
For sure. And it's difficult, right? It's a balance and you're trying to strike it. And that's where we're so excited about like the environics data, right? Because then we could start getting a sense of maybe Sunday is that day and maybe you'd be better off to close Monday to Wednesday and open Thursday to Sunday.
Yeah.
And extend your hours.
Yeah.
Because that's when the people are coming. You know, maybe we'll find that out. Maybe it'll tell us the exact opposite and you're doing the smartest thing you ever could because people aren't coming and we just perceive them as being here.
I just look forward to it because I mean, the ebbs and flows with customers is just like it doesn't make sense some days.
No. And I think we also recognize it will change seasonally. I think we'll have to run these queries on like each season, right? To get that sense of when those, you know, fluctuations are happening and how those travel patterns change.
I think like they're probably very, very hand in hand with real estate too. Like we notice it with us, like historically, like July, August are always very, very slow months.
Yeah.
People are traveling.
People are busy traveling, having fun, enjoying the weather.
And then you get into those seasons where like Christmas and stuff like that, right? So it'd just be nice to be busy. Like the other day it was this Saturday and I had to go to Brockville for a showing and it was so busy in Brockville, like just pumping downtown.
Brockville rocks downtown. Their downtown is amazing.
There's,
You know, you go to
busy.
that Blockhouse Island there on a nice day in the weekend and it's shoulder to shoulder down there.
So maybe we should be
Utilizing.
crawling through Brockville and meeting those business members as well as each other. Maybe that should be also going back to the business week thing. I know we kind of moved away from it, but just on that thought,
I mean,
maybe, you know, yes, we all have great ideas, but maybe we should be asking the communities that we're staying are booming. Maybe we should be reaching out to
Especially for the
legend of
streetscaping stuff,
Maryville.
like they've got it happening downtown there.
Oh, yeah, it was packed. And then like, I called Mal to see how the store is doing. She's like, it's dead. There's like nobody out there. It's like, they're all in Brockville. But you know what though? Like, it would just, I don't know if this is a opportunity that we can have, but like, is there any way to like tap into those resources? Like they're our neighbor, essentially, just to find out what they're doing to.
Well, surely we must be able to, they must have a BIA, we must be able to make connections. I feel like our more experienced members probably already know some of those connections, Dave and Justin maybe, but.
Yeah, and it's
I'm not
certainly
sure
not
it's,
for lack of, we're very familiar with what type of programming and things that are happening
Oh,
there.
and don't take that like wrong at all.
And
You guys
these are as a
amazing.
model, like, don't
Yeah.
get me wrong, no, like, these are all, and we always look to our neighbors as a model, and when they do something right, we try to take it and spin it into something maybe a little bit better, or a little bit, you know what I mean?
Our own
Yeah.
So we're not playing copycat
Yeah,
either,
yeah.
but it's funny, I'm gonna say, we're having we're getting the exact contradiction. At the pop-ups this year, the amount of conversations that we have had with people that are saying it is so refreshing that Prescott is an up-and-coming community and has a safe, accessible, welcoming downtown with businesses that we want to go to and not feel unsafe at any time. And I'm not going to name names, but there are many communities that get thrown out as examples. And I think Prescott is really becoming a breath of fresh air for some people. And I think we just need to continue to ride that wave. And as much as it's easy to look to those bigger communities and be envious and think, there is a reason why, because they are bigger communities. They are more developed. They have more conveniences, there's more services, more retail, more. So yeah, initially, sometimes they may seem to draw more of that activity. But I think we're also seeing a real transition with people and where they want to spend their time and where they want to take their families. And more, it is these small towns that offer safe, appealing spaces with a high quality of life that people seem to be gravitating to. So yeah, like the grass is always greener on the other side. I'm sure people sit there in some bigger communities and look to these smaller towns with envy, and we do the same with the bigger ones. But I think there's lessons to be learned for sure. And know that we're always looking to those neighboring communities to see, what are they doing that's working really well, and how can we try and build on that in maybe a bit of a different way.
They also have triple the population. So, I get it.
Yeah.
We have so much here. Like we have a gorgeous waterfront.
Yeah.
We have a beautiful beach. We do have a nice downtown. It just I think just getting out there and advertising what we have is just really important, right? And using what we have already.
I see they started digging dirt for the new hotel there.
Yes.
Did they?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
exciting.
trees have come down, there's some servicing happening. But we're also, and again, I'm gonna go back to the Environics data. That's also why we're so excited about that, because we've got limited budgets to work with, right? And we could sit here and speculate all day of where the best place is to direct our marketing dollars, whether it be digital, whether it be radio, print, whether it be Montreal or Quebec or Ottawa or Toronto or the States. And we're really just playing a guessing game right now. And that Environics data will give us that ability to make informed decisions with those dollars. And I think you'll see the results of that tenfold over the next 2 to 3 years, where you can really start allocating those dollars into, very targeted campaigns. And I think you will see it. We're just at the beginning of Prescott starting to be on the radar.
Honestly, even from when I came here in 2014 to what it is now, it's come such a long way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
So.
But no, and we always appreciate that. Never hesitate to throw out examples of what's working well in other communities, because it may be something that we're not aware of, and we always want to look to what others are doing best.
Just even like, you know, if they have an event that's happening, like collaborate, like we're just down the highway and like maybe do something that, you know, we can work together with them to kind of mirror what's happening. So when they're done there, we're not taking away from it, but we're working with them. So it's like something else, even if it's like the following day or
Yep.
something, right?
Yeah. Love it.
Okay.
Great Waterfront Trail Adventure. So, back on, that was August 12th, we welcomed 140 cyclists as part of the Great Waterfront Trail Adventure. Had a rest stop for them down by the pop-ups. Catarinas and Outposts provided some snacks and treats for the cyclists that were coming through. And we have... Nope, we're not going to do that. Apparently, that will then play the audio from the meeting. But we did do a little TikTok of the people coming through.
So go to our Explore Prescott page.
We can watch it.
Watch it soundless.
Here.
Yeah.
Oh, there's Dana.
My hands in my pockets. Yeah, that looks.
There she is.
But it was amazing the number of cyclists that were through, and they were all, I think it's fair to say, really excited at the rest stop. I know quite a few stopped at the two cafes on their way through as well. And we had some stragglers that were coming through after a stop.
We even had Councillor Mary Campbell join the ride from Brockville to Prescott, which was exciting. She thoroughly enjoyed herself.
Rode in with the riders. So, and hopefully in the future, maybe we can be a full overnight rest stop for these folks and they come into town and spend a full evening in town. And it was great to talk to, I was talking to a gentleman from the Waterfront Trail who does a lot of the mapping for the trail system, talking about better ways to integrate local routes around here into their trail mapping. So they were all quite enthusiastic about cycling and cycling tourism in the area. So it was, I think, a very good morning, very good day that day.
Feedback from the cyclists was they had been the best stop
Aww.
on the entire ride.
That's so
It was
nice.
a pretty, it started in Belleville, so they had a few days and many stops under their belt. So that's the goal, is hopefully we did enough to bring them back for an overnight, because that's a huge economic benefit for the businesses. Because they spend money. That is the misconception about cyclists. People assume just because they're traveling light, they're not going to buy anything. They buy, and when they're on a ride like that, they have the event organizers that are actually shipping things back to their houses for them, and it is all very coordinated. And these are people riding around with like bikes upwards of $2,000, $3,000, $5,000.
Wow.
They have money to spend, and that's why we again have identified them as part of our tourism strategies, a big priority market that we're trying to attract more and more of.
That's great.
Next up on review, Stanley Cup in Prescott Day. So that was back on the 25th, Friday the 25th of August. So the Stanley Cup came with Ben Hutton to Prescott for a couple hours on the 25th. There were over 2,000 visitors came down to the pavilion area to take pictures with the cup and meet Ben. What we did was organize with the restaurants, sort of a little bit of a promotion because we knew there'd be a lot of visitors into town. So put together all the little set of graphics that were on site and on social media with all the restaurants in town. And some also offered some theme specials of the day. So this is some of the specials that were done for the Stanley Cup in Prescott Day, as well as, for example, O'Heath's did a full event that day with a corn boil, and then a number of just different promotions at the restaurants. Talking to a couple restaurants, I know that it was a particularly busy day, so I think it got a lot of people out circulating, eating as they were in town for that event. And then finally, strategic planning update. So I'm sure everyone, recalls that we started this strategic planning process back in the spring by doing an OMAPRA workshop for, I believe it was 4 workshops over an 8-week period on learning how to do it as a self-led strategic planning process. We set that aside for the summer months, and now, according to our schedule, we're sort of coming up in the time to start ramping back into it. So this is just basically a update to say it's probably time that we reconvene the strategic planning committee, maybe once every 2 weeks, to start looking at the next steps moving forward. For that, I believe that committee was Belinda, Bonnie, and Natalie.
Yeah.
So we can, if you'd like, I can circulate an email, start getting some dates where we can start getting together and talking about next steps on that.
Again, I think it'd be really good timing with, we were also thinking the streetscaping discussion could come out as part of our strat planning. Maybe something the BIA wants to identify as a key priority under that as well.
Okay.
And again, even having these things identified as priorities under documents, guiding documents like strategic plans, again, all factors into funding decisions, considerations. I was just asked about this the other day with a potential opportunity that a business is pursuing, where they were looking for confirmation that, some of those priorities from a business development perspective were actually addressed in our. So it really is amazing. And, same with the corporate, when the council does their corporate strategic plan, like the hotel being identified as a priority. That was what had come up recently. So really, it's important to consider what is a priority and what will help maybe lobby for future desired projects down the road.
Just a couple more updates here. Farmers market update, as Dana mentioned, the promenade, council has extended the promenade closure through Thanksgiving weekend. So the farmers market will be staying down there until Thanksgiving, which is the end of its season. There has been a tremendous amount of growth in the market and the market vendors this summer. I believe we've had a total of 35 vendors, about 10 of them being full seasonal vendors, and then the rest rotating in on a weekly basis. I don't think there's been a week where we've had fewer than 12 vendors at the promenade. Some weeks will be 16, 15, 16, 17, which is essentially the entire space filled. Again, there's a TikTok without sound of some of the visuals of being down there on a market Saturday.
And if I can just take an opportunity to recognize Justin for the amazing effort that he has put into, building this market into literally something from nothing over the past 3 years. It has been a huge undertaking, an amazing amount of work and creativity and energy has gone into this. And it was, at the point where it's become so well established that we actually had to bring in a dedicated market clerk this year in Gabby Perot, who was also, highly successful in taking what Justin's built and, really helping to elevate that and focusing on some new marketing as well. So it really just continues to grow. And, if you had have told me it would be here 3 years ago, I never would have believed it. So it was something, a very huge undertaking to put on Justin's lap, and he's done an amazing job bringing it back. So something now that we've been able to attract, like you said, a whole new group of vendors that we never thought we would be able to, because that really goes hand in hand with it too. So
there's been I feel there's been a huge increase in foot traffic from the market being right there on the corner on the Saturdays. It just, every Saturday, I think I utter the words to one of my clients or them to me, if not them first, like, look at that, like, look at all people, like, isn't that great? Like, it's been just, I never would have thought either, honestly, the difference from relocating it, I just never thought of it, not that it wouldn't be a good idea, but then once it changed, it was a game changer. It just, everything about it, yeah, I couldn't agree more. The market, the effort that's put in, it shows. Yeah, and I hope it just keeps going because it's a great thing we've got going, yeah.
And that location, I will say thank you for that, Charity. 'Cause
absolutely.
that has been really the key to the success as well. And as much as, the efforts were exhaustless that were put into trying to attract vendors, but it is so much about location, location, location. And the new vendors that we were able to bring in this year because of that visibility. Like, you can't come into the community without seeing it, whether you're at the top of the Edward Street Bridge or going by on Highway 2. It doesn't matter if there's a market there, there's just chairs set up there. It makes you want to stop out of your car and explore this town. And that's really the end goal. And it brings you into the downtown, which is the real intent of it, right? So yeah, it's been wonderful. We're very excited. And thankful to council for extending it to Thanksgiving. Because we were in real jeopardy. We were going to lose some vendors. That is an actual fact, that it had been relocated back to the Market Square. Now, as of last weekend, we would have lost certainly a handful of vendors just because of that location change.
Pop-ups update. So the first summer season of the pop-ups concluded on Labor Day weekend with a little bit of a all-day music celebration on the Sunday, where we had Jumpin' Jimmy, Lyric Rogers, and Isabel and the Ringouts in on a nice little stage that Operations has made for events that we were able to bring down there. So they were off the grass. Really well attended final day, and I've been really well attended throughout the entire season. You had a lot of people walking through on a daily basis. You could sit and watch people again just sort of pull off Highway 2. They'd see it and be down in there. The number of languages you heard walking around down there, the number of people who were just saying they were driving. They live in Ottawa, and it was their first time that they'd come down through here and actually stopped. Had a mix of seasonal and weekend vendors and food trucks, 2 permanent food trucks, and then a mix of seasonal and weekend vendors throughout the summer season. And the pop-ups were fully occupied from Victoria Day weekend through Labor Day, so it was always a full complement of vendors down in there. Had a lot of feedback from vendors about the summer, about how well they had done down through there. We had one woman who came in for 2 weekends. She makes handmade purses and some other small jewelry. And she was fairly open with it, so I was selling over $1,000 each weekend down in there as sort of a crafter space. We had a lot of, I think, really successful summers there for businesses. Places like Once at 426 really utilized it as almost a marketing tool for their main location. And at the same time, I know also had a very successful financial summer just at that location. So it's been good. A lot of interest in coming back next summer, and they will be open through Thanksgiving as well on sort of a weekend basis, so Saturday, Sundays. The food trucks and 2 of the seasonal vendors are staying, and then we will have a complement of rotating vendors plus our little mini visitor center there for the weekends through the Thanksgiving weekend.
I have a question. Is there ability to grow more pop-ups?
So that's really where we're hoping to approach council. This was part of the next year's budget discussion.
Okay.
Something else we're going to be doing is issuing a survey to all the pop-up vendors to get some actual measurable feedback from them, and also use that as part of our ongoing reporting request to council. We've had some really good discussions. Something that we identified that we really wanted to hopefully add to the mix of the retail and the food vendors was something more experiential, whether it be boat rentals, bicycle rentals, something along those lines that would be very, active. Again, another attraction to bring people into the area and support some of the other businesses. So we've had some good discussions with some potential operators, hope to further those this over the winter, and even look at maybe adding a couple of larger sheds, like maybe 12 by 16s or 12 by 18s that might accommodate, say, a larger operator with more equipment type thing that they would be renting. So we'd really like to explore that, as well as add a few of the smaller ones too. These were funded through a grant, so it would be something that council would have to consider as part of their annual budget allocation if we were gonna look at some more, but we certainly intend on bringing a request forward for at least 2 to 4 more for next year. Just based on the response that we've had, I don't see any reason why we couldn't fill at least another 2 or 4 of them. And it's been, as Justin said, it's been really successful for all the vendors who've participated, and we're really just hoping to grow it from there. All right, that's the building alarm. I'm gonna go do that. Yeah.
Okay. Briefly, the Elaine Chartrand Community Center, Seymour Recreation Complex, had its grand opening last weekend. Yes, that was just last weekend. So the facility is now open from 4 p.m. onwards during the week and from 8 a.m. onwards on the weekends. It's fully in use. I believe the walking track, there's still some work being done on it, so you can't get up there, but you can go in and see the arena whenever it's open. I recommend going in and checking it out. It's very nice in there. So the public grand opening was on the Saturday, a week and a half ago. And the crowd that came through was very large. They were lined up an hour before the official ribbon cutting. People were excited. So at both the event on Friday evening and the public grand opening, we had a little Prescott information, Prescott merch table out for people to have a look at. And I think, despite the fact that that's something that probably lead to quite a bit more traffic throughout the town, including in the downtown, in the years ahead.
It is beautiful. I started hockey this weekend, so it was fun to see her in there.
Next item, the economic development newsletter. You should all be registered. You should all have received it through constant contact. If you didn't, it's likely in your spam. You'll have to allow it the first time. But we launched the economic development newsletter, Prescott Economic Development Newsletter, this month. The first business that we profiled at the top of the newsletter was River Home and Co. downtown in Prescott. So we'll be doing that, having a little bit of a business profile in each one of the newsletters. That should go out at the start of the month, hopefully the first. Moving forward, it also had quite a bit of things like business events and workshops. We did a little digital Main Street profile so people can sort of connect to those events. We had, for example, after the parking discussion at the last BIA meeting at council, we had a map about the downtown parking where you can park for more than 2 hours and can't park for more than 2 hours. So there'll be a means to share information on local and regional events. We have a mailing list of close to 900 people now, so it's going out fairly broadly, and I believe that mailing list grew with this newsletter going out and new people signing up, when it went out on Facebook and places like LinkedIn. So that's going to continue to grow. So it's a really good opportunity to, market local businesses too, just from the perspective of getting some places in front of people that may not have seen it before. And it's not just like a hyper local audience either, because it includes people who've attended our webinars and opted in for newsletters in the past, who, have attended sort of those events and have opted in. So look for it at the start of the month, every month. If you come across anything that would be good to include in it, business events, support, a good business to be profiled, feel free to let us know, and it's something that we can look to include in future newsletters.
And this letter, like the newsletter, it would be encouraged for anyone who's interested to receive it, right?
Yes.
So if there's community members who would like to be on the list,
Most definitely.
we could just pass on the contact to you, or what would be the
There's
best?
a link, if you go to our website, there'll be a link, a sign up link to
Okay.
it.
It's in the newsletter.
In the newsletter, you can just forward it on.
Okay, so I would just direct
Just
them
like that,
to it
Yeah.
themselves, okay.
Yeah, just share it, just forward it on to anyone who, you'd like to share with or think might enjoy it, right?
Okay.
And then they can subscribe at the bottom of the newsletter.
You can even subscribe or share that little subscribe link on Facebook or any place you wanted to encourage people to get on. You can also share the entire newsletter through your own Facebook.
Okay.
So you can push that up onto Facebook as well.
It's something we're very excited about, and it'll have different content too. There's a long kind of list of items that we'll feature depending on what's relevant and interesting. Another section I'd like to include down the road is available downtown properties. That's something that we're going to be starting to market more actively. Things like a community improvement program updates. Once that ramps up again and we're accepting applications, we're going to use that to feature regular recipients in some of the projects that are happening throughout the entire community, and definitely especially the downtown area, because that tends to be where we get the most uptake in that program. But yeah, we're certainly excited about it, and just wanted to encourage everyone to share with anyone. If it's up to them whether they subscribe or not, so feel free to share through your networks, and hopefully we can just keep growing that list. We've also got a lot of visitors and things that have signed up for that list over the years that have attended different events. It's the whole gamut. It's really every potential audience covered there, so.
And just the last little update is the business and development update here.
Yeah, it's not, we've had quite a few happening still in the past month, despite that summer is starting to wrap up and lots more pending. So we had Chuck's Roadhouse grand opening, that was August 17th, which has, seemed to be very busy since opening. So I think they're doing quite well. And, we're definitely excited to see another restaurant open in that area in addition to Wing House, which should be open for dine-in guests soon enough. I think they're just waiting to get their liquor license in place. So that should come soon too. And then we had the soft opening of Renegade's Bar and Grill, which was this past Saturday, September 9th. And we're anticipating they should be open to the public this week. And we should have a grand ribbon cutting announcement shortly. And then we had a grand opening for Renegades. And then we have the Quality Inn Hotel official groundbreaking is going to be September 28th for that. So that's located on Prescott Center Drive. That is a new 69-room chain hotel development that's coming. Going to be located right between the Dollarama and McDonald's, as much as it may be hard to picture, because it probably seems like a small footprint, but it's quite large once they get all the trees cleared in there. So It's going to be very similar in size and scale to the Hampton Inn that was built in Brockville, not too long ago, just by the Marks, in behind the Marks Word Warehouse and the Superstore. So very similar in size, 69 rooms. It'll be a great addition to the town, offering more of that kind of chain hotel option. We've got some great B&Bs and Airbnb options and boutique hotels right now. So it'll really be nice to say that we've got that full, well-rounded picture, and expect with the new arena that there will certainly be a lot of traffic coming in there, the new recreation complex. And I would really anticipate that this will probably be the first of a few likely that we'll see probably spring up in town over the next few years. Usually once one comes in, it generally means another's pretty quick to follow. So
That's good.
we're very excited about this one, and I'm sure they are going to be a very busy spot, not only for people coming into town, but just highway travelers as well.
That's exciting.
Yeah. Those, just our upcoming meeting dates for the next committees.
Next slide up, we do have the new business from members.
Oh, yes. Does anyone have anything to bring? You do? Exciting.
I have a community member who has asked me to bring her idea forward. So she had talked about her passion for the outdoor amphitheater. She is a member of the Shakespeare Festival and worked on the props and some of the stage stuff this year. And they built a really big white backdrop. And she thought that it just should have more life. And she came up with the idea of using it for outdoor movies. And I thought that was great. So she suggested anything. I kind of immediately went to the Halloween thing that we were talking about. It could, but doesn't have to be in tie of. I thought maybe we could have a fun Halloween themed movie going throughout some of those events, or if we have enough going on, and maybe we do after seeing a lot of great ideas, maybe we could do it for something else. Maybe we could just have our own little fall outdoor movie event. But I just thought that she's right. It is a shame to see some of that stuff get used for a short time, and they have taken it down. I did reach out to her before I brought it up to make sure it wasn't gone. They have disassembled it, but put it away in storage. It can easily be assembled, and she said that Ingrid, who is the GM of Shakespeare, they had the discussion. They think it's great, it's on board. So if it was something that we wanted to spin with or whatever, that they would kind of work together with us to make that happen. So
thinking set it back up at the amphitheater and run the movies. That's awesome.
I've seen that done in different other towns. It's usually pretty good turnout.
Yeah, I know we do some indoor movies at the Leo. So I'm thinking we must have a projector. Someone must know the procedure, because she informed me you get the license for the movie. Yeah, I really know nothing about it, but I'm thinking someone must know that.
Yeah, our community services would be familiar with that whole process. We've got the inflatable screen that they use for indoor and some outdoor, but this would be so much easier, right? It'd be set up, ready to go. You don't have to worry about weather or wreaking havoc with an inflatable screen, or where to set it up.
I just thought that'd be another great way, like she suggested, using that
and do like some
amphitheater
Halloween
space.
Yeah,
it is kind of weather dependent.
Dolls at the waterfront.
I am obsessed someday. All right, see, now you're getting back, going off on a tangent now. So someday I want to get a screen set up and run Jaws from the land showing out to the water. So it's for all the boat, and we can have like boat rentals for people to come out in their boats or dinghies or whatever it may be, come out on your SUP, in your canoe, your kayak, watch Jaws from the water. But I also want to hire a scuba diver to swim around with a shark fin and scare the bejesus out of people as they're watching cause.
Uh-huh.
amazing.
That's my idea,
Taking it to
yes.
the next level, yeah. I don't know what community did it now, but I have heard of not doing the scuba diver, that's very fun. But yeah, just doing the viewing and people getting really spooked, even knowing that
That it's
the
coming,
case, but yeah, that would be fun. Yeah. So it's available for us to use in any way that we see fit, sort of thing.
That's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
So maybe,
We can
yeah,
send that to a side market and
event.
spin with it for another event or something.
We will talk about it at the marketing promotion.
That'd be awesome. If we did do Halloween, there's lots of fun movies that wouldn't have to be terrifying, so it could kind of be
Yeah.
an ages thing too.
Yeah.
We won't scare the little ones.
Yeah, maybe we'll do something like Hocus Pocus or something.
Yeah.
Scary, but not too scary.
Yeah.
So Ingrid's likely the best follow-up for that discussion?
Ingrid and
Okay.
Suzanne Zorzella was who I was speaking to directly. She said that Ingrid is aware, but super busy as well, so either one, yeah.
Awesome.
And I do have a private contact I can pass on to
Perfect.
after.
Did you have something?
Love that idea.
So just wondering if there's any plans to put one of those little kiosks at the new rink that with the business directory so that people can tap into that and see.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Yes, that is coming. Yeah. We're gonna be ordering another iPad stand with the iPad and business directory. And it'll we already have the tourism display rack there, like with the printed materials. That's up there now. So then we'll get the kiosk up there. Just waiting for the stand to arrive, yeah. Yeah, and then we'd like to add more locations too down the road. Eventually, I'd like to add the Leo at some point, the marina. We don't have it at the marina yet. The stands are expensive though. So if there's any appetite at some point, maybe for the BIA to sponsor one, that could be located more in the downtown. We do have 2 in the visitor center right now. So what we're also considering doing is relocating the one, especially for the winter months. Probably take that one up to the arena right away, just because we're not even 100% sure what the museum visitor center hours will be this winter. But yeah, definitely would like to order some more of those. New hotel too was another location that we were thinking would be good to have that.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Especially to give people an idea of what's around, if it's not from here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anybody else? All right. So the upcoming meetings for marketing and promotion is September 19th. Placemaking committee is September 26th. And that leads us to the adjournment do I have a recommendation that the meeting be adjourned to October 10th, 2023 at 5:30 PM? Can I get a mover and a seconder? Okay, Tracy, Charity. Perfect. All in favor?